5, 40, 40. What do you guys think? Hi folks, as you can see, I think I'm alive. Been kind of missing in action here over the last month. A lot of that was different things that I had to do, like 2 plays, a lot of gate work. Took my wife to Branson for a wonderful 10 days. Drove back home and immediately ended up sick as a dog. There's a lady that we should call her Typhoid Mary from now on. She went to see a performance of the Petersons. And it was a pretty small auditorium, and she sat right beside me and turned around and looked at me and coughed all over me. So I know where I got it. And it's been about 2 weeks of not much fun. In fact, luckily I got banished to the RV, and you know, it only has an 80-gallon Blackwater tank, and so far I've filled it up twice. I was pretty sick. In fact, I lay there one night dreaming about Cousin Eddie and just wishing he would show up. I needed help. For those of you who don't know who Cousin Eddie is, well, enough of my problems. I'm feeling better. I'm weak as a dog. And this is the first day I've even felt like turning the camera on, and then I had to relearn how to turn the camera off. Welcome to all the new subscribers. It seems when I don't post any videos, I get a lot more subscribers. I don't know how, but like 400 new subscribers in the last 28 days. Welcome. I hope you find it something you can like about what I do. Just an old country boy making do with what I've got and trying to get better at everything. So follow along. I kind of skip around to what's most important. And right now, the most important thing is to finish the Bridgeport. The Bridgeport, I started back as a personal machine. I sold my last Bridgeport before this one was ready. I thought it was ready. Turned out, looks can be deceiving. It ended up, we've taken it down to bare metal. I bought about $4,000 worth of parts, and it's now time to finish it up and get it back into running condition. I took this table right here, I don't know if you can see it, I'll show it to you in a minute, and planed it because it was about 0.010 of an inch off. I've planed 2 of the surfaces here and the top, so everything should be pretty coplanar. But to check it all out, you need some tools. And let me show you. And as tools cost a lot, I usually make my own. Of course, I'm lucky and have some equipment to do so. First tool I need to finish is this 4-foot straight edge. It's got an angle on this side. It's all been planed, stress relieved twice in my heat treating oven. And now we just have to go ahead and finish it out and make sure it's perfect. This is the bed of the Bridgeport. All these surfaces have been planed, and I need to scrape this and get them perfect, which is using a combination of this tool and another tool that you don't have to have but makes it go faster. And luckily, that's what I'm doing now. I'm getting ready to start making a tool that was invented a long time ago by Richard King's father. It's called a Kingway alignment tool. Let me fix the camera a little bit better. I'll be back. How's that? Am I any prettier? Oh, God. Sorry. My wife made me make an appointment for December the 16th After the last performance of the play I was in, here's a picture of what I look like. So all this went away basically, but I've been so sick ever since I haven't shaved and didn't even feel like shaving. So I got to go back to the barber. So excuse the appearance. Anyway, back to Richard's tool that I need to make sure that this surface and this surface are coplanar so that they're perfect all the way down and they're equal to each other. Now this was planed here on the beast, and this surface here is within 1/1000th of an inch all the way. But I want to make it better than that. So I have two ways of doing it. Well, actually right now, one way. I can put this on this surface and measure it, which this is a precision surface. But it's not precision of that 3 foot by 4 foot Class A granite table over there. I can put this on that and then measure off the surface of the table to here and get dead nuts on. Well, this thing is heavy. I'm as weak as a kitten after this illness, and I don't think I can pick it back and forth all the time. So I'm going to do a project that I should have done years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. Richard gave me a part to a tool, and every year he gives me another little part. This is the sled for a Kingway alignment device. We get a close-up on you. Now this looks simple. Hope that's in focus. It's basically a pipe that's been split, heat treated, ground down. I don't think it was a pipe ever. I think this was just a piece of material that they turned on a lathe. It's got a little collar here and here. It's rounded over on these parts and has been ground. It's relieved here and then ground here on these parts. All of this has been ground, and then it has 3 threaded holes that you can thread in a rod, and you can do it different ways. You can take this and I guess you can see here. Let me shine you down. You can put it like this in a V-way, or on this flat right here. Slide it that way. You could put it on this edge and align it this way, and then put in your stops. It'd be like this. This would be pointing up, and slide it along this. You put it on top of a V, if you had a V. Lots of different ways. To do it right, that is one booger of a machine to do. This thing is heat treated, then ground to exact tolerances. It's perfect. Richard told me that he was paying something like $500 or $600 to have this made, and I believe it. Time you put in all the effort into it, and then I guess it's black coated. It's very nice. I've seen other people make their own version of the Kingway, and this was always something that was kind of halfway done. It may have this part okay, but it wasn't perfect with these parts. And you know, it's okay for what it's used for. You can make one that just slides like this, but it's kind of nice to have it perfectly made. And I could do it here, but man, that's a lot of work. So for years, that sat in my toolbox, waiting on when I needed it. Then another year, Richard showed up with these, another critical part. Now this is a cast iron casting that needs to be bored through here and then slit here and then drilled and tapped for a handle that can tighten it around a rod. And these should be 90-degree angle from each other. They're a little different. This one has got a lobe that sticks out farther on this side than this side. And I figure you could use that to spread it out farther if you needed to, or shorten it up to get in closer. This should be the rail that goes across the top. Now these two lobes are the same. And my job right now is going to be boring this or reaming it to fit a rod. And then the rod clamps down. You got 3 rods that go through these. There's another one just like this. So that's 2 critical parts that I have. The third part was pretty easy. I just called up and ordered a precision stainless steel shafting. And to go through that piece, I'm going to bore a 5/8 inch hole. And probably not going to bore it all the way. I'm going to ream it. Get a little bit more precise. Of course, it doesn't have to be that tight, because the precision doesn't have to be that great, because you're going to tighten it up, but I want it to be as close as I can get it. So a piece of 5/8 inch precision shafting, stainless steel. I'll have to cut it to the lengths I need and then thread this end for fitting into this part, like that. I wanted to get something bigger because the flats in this are a little bit bigger than this is. But anything bigger wouldn't fit through the cast iron when I bore it. So that's 3 pieces that I need. Now on one end of this shaft, much like this fits on one side, you have a shaft that fits down here and rides on this side. So they ride together. With the exception of this one, doesn't have this, it needs a ball on the end. So these are 1¼ inch precision balls that I bought. And then I'm going to thread this and then thread this end and screw them together. And then you can use it like this. You can put a cup to ride it onto a flatter surface that will kind of cradle this and have flat on the bottom. I'll grind that out. So I got to get this held and bored so that it's concentric with this. I got a plan. Well, that's a lot of the things that I need. I need some knobs, and on the real Kingways, they had some cast knobs with Kingway in them. I don't have a way to do that, so I'm going to probably just get a metal knob or make a knob that just tightens up and clamps the rod in place. Now for the other expensive part. That precision shaft was about $80. These, I don't know what they would be. Richard's always talked of making a kit. I don't know if he's done it. He kind of hurt his shoulder, and I don't know what's going on with that. Kind of assembling my own kit here. The third part of this expensive part is a vial for a level. And basically you have 2 levels. One fits this way, it's just going down, you can tell this way, and then another fits here in a T shape. So you can adjust both and get it perfectly level. and perfectly as a matter of how much resolution there is on your vial. Now, let me see if I can go over there. I don't know why, but these are expensive. I can't find them on the website of where I purchased them anymore in this size or resolution. I think these were nearly $280 a piece. They're .0003 resolution, and they're a mounted glass vial that has two flats on it. And they sell a screw adjustment kit of brass screws that go through here, and you adjust your vials of those. Got the part number on this. This vial is from a very well-known company, and it has absolutely no markings on it. The box has no markings on the box. If you look on their website, all the vials they have on the website have engraved markings on it. These took over 9 months to arrive. I forgot all about them. Took a long time. And I'm not the only one that's mentioned having that problem. So if you order them, I'm not really sure what to tell you to order, because the ones that I see now are only .0005 resolution. This is a .0003. And from the research I've done, this is what the original Kingways had in them. So there's about $600 sitting here. If you can buy one on eBay or somewhere, if somebody wants to sell them, it'd be worthwhile buying it if you can get it at a reasonable number. I know some people buy them and resell them. They're not being made anymore, so one company tried to do this a couple years ago, and they had a website and everything. And I don't remember exactly how much they were, but it was like $900. And frankly, it'd be tough to build one of these for $900. So I don't know how they made any money. I guess they didn't, because there either wasn't enough interest in them or they lost their shirts. I vote for the second. We'll set up where I can sit down. I don't know if it's cold where you are, but it's really cold for us down here. I think it got down to wind chill of -6 last night. Wind was howling. I'm out in the RV still. And it got cold. Don probably died. I haven't talked to him in the last 30 minutes, but he has a hard time with cold. You remember 3 years ago, he ended up over here for a week with his dogs, and he didn't have electricity. But this year, he's got backup generator, and he's doing okay. Now, what I wanted to show you now was a little bit more detail on this ball. As I said, I've got to thread the end of this rod and then drill and tap this ball right here so that it goes onto this perfectly, because you don't want it to be lopsided, so if this rotates a little bit, it'll be different. You want it to be as good as you can make it. We'll use Bob to do that. Now, Bob has a lot of ways to hold things. I have a 3 and 4 jaw chuck that I can put on it. It also is a collet closer on it, and I have a wide range of collets that I can use for dang near everything. So I got to looking in my collets, and I found a 1.25 inch collet. I thought, great. Well, I have a problem. If I put my 1¼ ball in it, if you look real close, it sets up higher than 5/8, which should be half of an 1¼ inch. So the biggest part of this ball is sitting about 1/8 of an inch up. And if I were to clamp down on it, it would just pop out like a frozen popsicle stick, you know, in the little plastic packages you pop up. That's what this would do, and I'd be chasing it all around. Can't have that. I could put this in a 3-jaw chuck, and even though the 3-jaw chuck is pretty dadgum accurate, it's not anywhere as near as accurate as this collet is on Bob. So I'm sitting there looking at it, going, do I need to buy a new collet? And basically, this is setting up right at 5/8. I need to go down just about 1/16 of an inch to get to where it's held securely on the largest diameter. If you look closely at this collet, which I've been thinking about for 3 days, you'll notice that it's got a recess down here and a flat. Well, there's a chamfer on that flat, and that is allowing this ball to go in deeper than if it didn't have a chamfer. This is a really thick part of the collet down in there. And I got to thinking, if I were to make a bigger chamfer, my ball would go down farther. And normally that's not a good thing. You don't want your ball to go down farther. But in this case, I need it to. So the next problem is, how do I make that go into a bigger chamfer? This is a Harjan collet. It probably cost $300 more. I don't think I can buy another one with a deeper recess. So I don't see any problem in modifying this one. So I only need to go a little bit. And if you notice, like I say, that's a pretty wide flat. And that flat doesn't have anything to do with the structural integrity of where this body goes up to this part. So I would not be removing any metal except for right inside that throat. How to do it? I know this thing is hardened to ground. I don't know how hard it is because I don't want to go over to a hardness tester and try it out. But I know it's probably pretty hard. A carbide insert may or may not cut it. I'm pretty much guessing it's not going to. So instead of going to that trouble and hoping that that's what would work and setting up and all that, because I got something else already set up in it, I'm going to take a small, it's really small, can't find the darn thing. There it is. Grinding stone on the end of a tool grinder. Stick that in there, and I'm going to see if I can grind out enough of that chamfer to allow my ball to sink even farther into the body of the collet. If I can't, I'll bite the bullet and stick it in a 3-jaw and let it go from there. But I'm hoping this will work. I'm not going to be messing with the integrity of the collet or the accuracy of the collet. All I'm doing is allow this to slip just a little bit farther in. So we'll get to that. I don't know if I have time to, or the strength and stamina to do this. I've turned off the heater in here, and it's only 31 degrees outside, but it's been 22 for 28 hours or something. It got so cold my house pipes froze up. So just one, I knew where it would be. The interior, the water as it comes in the house The wife sent me a text message at 7 o'clock telling me that I had screwed up royally and this house wasn't built to specs, and going as fast as I can, people. Anyway, I'm going to show you over something here on Bob that's all set up, and then we'll go from there. I'm over here at Bob. Now, I know there's a lot of new people that probably going, what the hell's a Bob? This is a Bob. Now, Bob is a chucker lathe. See, it's even named Bob from the factory. And Bob has a rotating turret up here, which makes my life easier. You notice I can put 8 tools in this turret and just rapidly index to the tool I want. And just makes production very easy. Of course, I don't do production anymore, but it still makes my life easier when you're working with parts. If you notice here, I have set up, get this out of your way. One of the castings in a 3-jaw chuck here. And I can do that because there's just enough space. Let me get something. I can do that because there's just enough of the round. Come on, focus, focus. There's just enough of the round part that allows me to slip this tongue, or whatever you want to call it, in and miss the 3-jaw chuck. So I'm actually holding it on the round part and nothing else. You guys are crooked. Y'all been drinking. So I've taken care of holding it securely, and this comes back to where I said, remember, one lobe was longer than the other. That's enough to fit in there very nicely. And then these two here, I've got enough to grab on this side. There's not enough right here, but this is enough to do this. And basically I only have to hold it from 2 sides. One going here, and one going through here. So that's a secure way of holding it. Now I also need to make sure that it's aligned with the axis of this machine. So now I've got this securely held in the 3-jaw, and I want to be able to make sure that the barrel is in line with the axis of the lathe. Well, it's kind of hard to do because it's a rough casting. I've grabbed it onto the end down here, and to try to get it close, what I'm going to do is run down this cylinder right here. It's the only one, there's one on the other side, but it's got a casting numbers and things in it. So I'm basically limited to this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down here and then adjust that if I need to. You know, I'm hoping it's within 10 or 20 thousandths. We'll see. Got a 1, 2, 3 block on the bottom of this indicator, and I'm holding it down so it doesn't move. Now this tip, see if I can get right here and come down it. So that's at 45, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. So I've done pretty good. That's making it roughly all the way down now. It's got some There's no sense in sitting there trying to grind it, and I don't think it has to be that accurate, but that's the way I figured out how to line that up in the machine. Now, I guess the test would be to put it in low gear. Let's see. I'll show you how that works. Bob has got two handles down here. This is forward and reverse, and this is 1, 2, and 3 gear. Right now, that's third, second, and 1. I've got it in low gear. Now, up here, old Bob's got some electronics, or probably electrics in there. On my dial here, I've got speed 1 to 2, and I can turn this rheostat from in 1 gear. It's 420 to 125. I want it all the way down. Then if you go to third gear, you go from 105 to 3000. You pull it to start, and brakes on. I'm at 125, and I'm going to set it in motion, and let's see. Let's get this out of the way in case anything flies off. Let me go forward. What do you guys think? I'm thinking that looks pretty good for rough casting. And if I'm going to start drilling, I need to move it up in speed some. It's about 400 right there. Still looks good. 420. I'll buy that. This isn't rust, this is oil residue. This machine uses oil. It's got a sump down in here for cooling, cutting fluid, and it kind of stains everything. But I'll leave it on so it won't get rusty. I'm going to take it, I'm going to ream that out with a reamer. The only 5/8 reamer I have is this long one, and I don't really need it to be that long, so tomorrow I'm going to see if I can pick up a short one to fit in the tooling block, and we'll just go ahead and ream them out. Like I said, sorry I've been away, although it really helps the subscriber count when I'm gone. It tells me something that maybe I'm doing this wrong. Anyway, welcome to all the new people, and thanks for all the old people sticking around. Hey, thanks for the people that think enough of it to do a little membership. I appreciate it. Anyway, I'll be back doing more videos now. This is the project we're going to work on next. Then we'll do the ball, and then we'll make the Kingway, and then scrape the bed. I've got the column and everything out there already down, and I've started putting Bondo on it. The ram's finished. Looks really nice. That's why we decided to go ahead and do the whole thing. This is going to be my machine. I probably never, ever get rid of it. Well, never say never. But it's got chromed ways. It's going to be all new parts in it. New screws, nuts, washers, oiling system, spindle bearing, spindle, everything's new. So it should be a pretty good machine. And I know, there's people that just hate Bridgeports. Well, there's a place for almost every tool. Yes, I know it won't do what some of the bigger tools will do in milling. It just can't. It's not rigid enough. But I don't need that. If I need to take off a lot of metal, I've got a planer. Or I'll put it in the CNC mill and mill it that way. I look at the Bridgeport as more of a precision, smaller instrument where you can do some really nice things. In fact, I bought a 4-axis LCD DRO for it. Still in the box. I got to get it out. I've never looked at it. But now that I'm feeling better, that's what we're working on. Thank you for watching. Sorry to be so long-winded, but that's the way I am. Take care.